Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Welcome to all the devotees for our weekly Bhagavatam study. So we have been discussing from 7th canto, wherein we saw how being requested by his friends that we all bond together, but how come you are able to speak all these things so nicely? How come you develop natural attraction towards Lord Vishnu? Hmm? It is not that you would be able to hear from devotees like Narada Muni after our class hours or within your palace. That is not possible. Your father does not allow anybody like that. So where did you learn all these things? That was the inquiry made by the classmates in the previous chapter. As an answer to that, he explained. So what all happened when his father went to perform tapasya? Indra arrested his mother, hoping to wait for the child delivery and then wanted to kill that child. But Narada Muni came and informed, "Oh, my dear Indra, this son would be a great devotee and you will not be able to kill him and he will not be a trouble to you." So Indra was so happy to hear that. He circumambulated Kayadu, offered obeisances and then begged forgiveness from Kayadu and then left. Then upon her request, Narada Muni kept her in his own ashram and also blessed her that she will deliver the child only when the husband comes back. So like that. So while she was staying in the ashram of Narada Muni, she was also serving Narada Muni in various capacities, keeping the ashram clean like that. And Narada Muni would be speaking Krishna Katha every day without fail. But she was in anxiety to understand that whether her husband is going to come. But the child was completely attentive to hear what Narada Muni spoke. So like that, Prahlada heard so long from Narada Muni. Then he said, just like I have received the mercy of Narada Muni while being inside the womb of my mother and got the blessings, similarly, I will repeat whatever I have heard from my spiritual master Narada Muni so that all of you also get the mercy of Srila Narada Muni. So kindly listen as I speak. So like that, requesting all his classmates, he would be he was saying that just like a tree remains, but the yearly fruits go through changes. Similarly, the Supreme Lord remains, the soul remains, but the body goes through changes. Just like the tree remains for long, the Jiva and the Supreme Lord remains for long. The manifestation in the material world and the manifestation in the material body only go through transformations. Then, the important aspects of the Supreme Lord when compared to Jivatma are also mentioned in the next verse. How the Supreme Lord contains all wonderful attributes which are different from Jivatma and which are the attributes are different from the matter. All those things also he kind of establishes. And then he says that since Atma and Paramatma resides within the core of the material body, just like the gold is there within the rocks, expert gold miner extracts the gold from breaking the rocks apart, melting them and extracts that. Similarly, a Tattva Jignasi also tries to analyze and understand the true nature of Atma and Paramatma. Now the question is what kind of analysis it does? Then Prahlada says that this material body is made up of 24 material elements, which are the byproducts of three modes of material nature. By understanding these 24 elements, which are made up of three modes clearly, then one understands what the soul is and what the soul is not. So like that, he kind of mentioned. Since the material body is made up of these 24 elements, and the material bodies are of two types, the moving and non-moving bodies. But in either case, there is a soul inside. Having understood what is matter and what is not matter, one understands the Supreme Lord and also Jivatma. So in order to understand the nature of the Supreme Lord, one should understand what is the relationship between the Supreme Lord and this material world and the individual jivas and the material bodies. So there is a relationship among all these things. Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti, Kala, Karma. That Sambandha one should understand. So then one will be able to experience the Atma and eventually the Paramatma. So that's where we stopped, and today we'll continue from text number 25 onwards. So here he further continues how the nature of the soul can be understood by distinguishing it from the material body and its activities in the material world. So like that. So that part will be continued, and we'll start with text number 25. Someone can unmute and repeat after me. बुद्धेर्जागरणं स्वप्नः
बुद्धेर्जागरणं स्वप्नः
सुषुप्तेरिति वृत्तया
सुषुप्तिरिति वृत्तयः
ता एनैवानुभूयन्ते
ता येनैवानुभूयन्ते
सोऽध्यक्षा पुरुषा परः.
सोऽध्यक्षः पुरुषः परः. Intelligence can be perceived in three states of activity: wakefulness, dreaming, and deep sleep. The person who perceives these three is to be considered the original master, the ruler, the supreme personality of Godhead.
So the material body has three states of functioning. What are the three states of functioning? Functioning while one is wakeful, functioning while one is dreaming, and functioning while one is in deep sleep. So these are the three ways in which our material body, consisting of five Panchamahabhutas, five Tanmatras, five Jnanendriyas, five Karmendriyas, four Antakaranas, Man, Buddhi, Hankara, Chetana, will perform various activities in the three states: Jagaranam, Swapna, and Sushupti. But the person who perceives these three states is the controller, Paramatma. But the Supreme Lord controls these three states of Jivatma. What was that verse from Bhagavad Gita? Ishvara sarvabhutanam hruddeshe arjuna tishtati brahmayan sarvabhutani yendra rudani maya. The Paramatma, being situated within the core of the heart, makes the body function in these three different ways: Jagruta, Swapna, and Sushupti. It's like that. The method of discernment is described in two verses. Three states of intelligence possessed by the Jiva are described in this verse. Paramatma perceives these three states. So like that. It is Paramatma by whose influence a person performs activities in these three different states of one's existence. So basically we have to understand who is who. Just like in Bhagavad Gita 5th chapter we study, there are three doers. Paramatma sanctions, Jiva desires, and the body, that is material nature, facilitates the fulfillment of the desire. So like that. Same way here also. So then Prahlada Maharaj further continues. ये बिस्त्रिवर्णै पर्यस्तैर्
एभिस्त्रिवर्णैः पर्यस्ते
बुद्धिभेदै क्रियोद्भवै
बुद्धिर्भेदै क्रियोद्भवै
स्वरूपम् आत्मनो बुद्धेत्
स्वरूपम् आत्मनो बुद्धेत्
गन्धैर्वायुम् इवान्वयात्.
गन्धैर्वायुमिवान्वयात्. As one can understand the presence of the air by the aromas it carries, so under the guidance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one can understand a living soul by these three divisions of intelligence. These three divisions, however, are not the soul. They are constituted of the three modes and are born of activities.
So generally we tend to say that I am doing this, I am doing that, I am sleeping, I slept nicely, I did that, I am planning to do this, something like that. So here something very interestingly is mentioned that one should understand the nature of the pure Atma by rejecting the contrary qualities of these three states of intelligence transformed by the three gunas, which give rise to action. The three modes give rise to action. Just as one should understand the nature of air, which holds fragrance, by seeing that the fragrances are different from it. So, when we are nearby a garden, flower garden, we experience nice fragrance. The fragrance is carried by the air or wind. So we say that this air is so fragrant. Actually, air is not fragrant. Air is air only. But air is carrying some fragrance. Similarly, when we say that I am doing this activity, I am doing that activity, I am awake, I am sleeping, I am dreaming. Actually, the activities of being awake, dreaming, and sleeping are done by the 24 elements, which are the byproducts of the material nature. These two, the jiva is different from these three states. That one we should understand. Just like in Bhagavad Gita, we have heard that prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasha ahankara vimudatma karta aham iti mannate. Prakrite kriyamanani, Prakriti is doing all the activities. Gunai karmani sarvasha. So under the influence of three modes, all the activities are being done by material nature. Ahankara vimudatma, only vimuda and ahankara, it says that I am the doer, karta aham. So that is the problem. But one who has the sufficient good intelligence to discriminate who is doing what should never ever say that I am doing this, I am doing that. The activities are done by the byproducts of three modes of material nature, the 24 elements. So in that way, so basically, in order to distinguish what is Jivatma, what is not Jivatma, one should analyze in this way. That's what Prahlada Maharaj is saying. The Jiva is the possessor of these three states of intelligence. Jiva only possesses them. One should understand the nature of the pure Jiva by rejecting the contrary qualities of these three types of intelligence transformed by the three modes, which give rise to action. The three modes transformed into 24 elements which are acting Jagrata, Swapna, and Sushupti. They are not belonging to, they belong to Atma, but they are not Atma. So in that way. Just as one should understand that the air holds the fragrances simply by contact with the fragrances of flowers, but is separate from them. Similarly, the Jiva possesses the three states of existence, Jagruta, Swapna, and Sushupti. Like that. He who activates that material intelligence is the Paramatma. He who is endowed with the intelligence is Jiva. Jiva has intelligence and Paramatma activates that intelligence of Jivatma so that it can do some activities. As Bhagavad Gita chapter 15, Lord Krishna says, Sarvasya chaham ujisannivishto mattaha smritir jnanam apohanam cha. I am situated in the heart of every living entity as intelligence, as buddhi. From that comes smriti jnanam apohanam. Smriti is memory, jnanam is knowledge, apohanam is forgetfulness. These are the functions of intelligence. So in that way, it is Paramatma activates the intelligence of the Jivatma. As a result of that, the material body goes through three states of existence, Jagruta, Swapna, and Sushupti, which are only witnessed by or possessed by Jivatma. But Jivatma is not there. So like that we have to understand.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Mataji.
Prabhuji, then these three states are belonging to whom? They are belonging to body.
Yeah, they belong to the body, which is the byproduct of three modes.
Okay, but soul experiences it just like that aroma and air analogies. Like that.
Ah, just like air carries the fragrance, the soul also carries these experiences. It only possesses them, but soul is not that.
Okay. Okay, understood. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, we'll go ahead. एतद्वारो हि संसार
एतद्वारो हि संसारो
गुणकर्मा निबन्धनः
गुणकर्म निबन्धनः
अज्ञानमूलोऽपार्थोऽपि
अज्ञानमूलो पार्थोऽपि
पुंसः स्वप्न इवार्प्यते.
पुंसः स्वप्न इवार्प्यते. Through polluted intelligence, one is subjected to the modes of nature, and thus one is conditioned by material existence. Like a dreaming state in which one falsely suffers material existence which is due to ignorance must be considered unwanted and temporary.
Yeah, this intelligence is the cause of material life. Though insubstantial, bound at all times by gunas and actions, and having an unknown origin, it imposes the body on the jiva, just as Lord's energy imposes a dream on a person. Just like, does anybody wants that I should get dream? I should get this dream, that dream. Even though one may want, but one may not get the dream. Dream comes on its own. Similarly, the body comes on its own. The intelligence imposes a particular body upon us. It is the intelligence which tells us that you are human being, you should behave like a human being. You are so and so, you should behave like that. The intelligence will tell us all the rules and regulations, how should we behave, how should we express ourselves, how should we enact, etc., etc., etc. The intelligence is the original cause. It is always bound by the gunas and actions. Its root is not understood. Ajnanamula. Why it is doing like that, we don't know, but it is doing. Though it is insubstantial, apartha, it imposes the body and the jiva. It imposes samsara upon all of us. Just as a dream is imposed on a person, this takes place by the Shakti of the Supreme Lord. All this takes place by the Avidya Shakti of the Supreme Lord. So it's like that. Basically, it is the intelligence which convinces us we are currently human being. In the next life, we are whatever, maybe a devata or an animal or whatever we are. It is our intelligence convinces us you are so and so, you should behave like this, you should act like this, etc., etc. So in that way.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji,
Yes.
in this verse, the intelligence has been equated to false ego.
Yes. See, in sense, intelligence means the subtle body basically. Man, buddhi, ahankara, chetana, all the four you can use interchangeably. But in one sense, the ego also we can take. It is the ego only which convinces us that you are human being. So ultimately, by intelligence, what is used here is the intelligence's function is to make us understand, to make us become aware of something. So in that way, intelligence word is taken. But ultimately, the identity is ahankara. So both are okay. It's not, it's subtle body, we can say actually.
Because, like in Bhagavad Gita, also we studied like that the mind will go wherever, but the intelligence has to take charge of it. And with the buddhi, you should take the senses in control, like that. It was there. So I was, and
Hmm.
generally, always it is said that it is a false ego which makes one believe that one is body. Means that combination as a one soul and body is done by the false ego. That is why I was confused, like that whether here always the intelligence is making material life is it, that is the cause of
No,
material life.
intelligence convinces and false ego acts upon that conviction.
Okay, so intelligence convinces the false ego like that.
No, no, intelligence convinces the jivatma. It says that you are human being now.
Okay,
Then
because
jivatma
false,
submits.
yes, The false ego will be at a higher level than intelligence. Like,
Yes, yes.
yeah. Okay. Okay, Prabhuji. So false ego makes the intelligence believe that way, and then intelligence convinces like that it should be understood.
Both way in either case. So basically here, see, we are talking about intelligence because from the very beginning we are taken to the intelligence. So that's why we are discussing as intelligence. So the nature of intelligence is to make us aware of something, whether we are about something or the things in front of us also are something. Everything is conveyed by intelligence to us. The understanding of what is what comes through intelligence. In that way, intelligence plays a pivotal role. So in that way, we are talking in terms of intelligence.
Okay, Prabhuji. Yes.
So once one is convinced that I am the human being, then Ahankara takes charge. Okay, I am human being. I should be doing like this, like this, like this, like this. Intelligence already convinced, meaning that already gave a set of rules and regulations. According to those rules and regulations, Ahankara dictates. Oh, my dear body, act like this. So the body acts according to the dictates of the Ahankara. So for Ahankara, intelligence is like a minister.
Oh, like that. Yeah. Yeah, understood, Prabhuji. Now it is clear.
Tasmad bhavadbir kartavyam
Tasmad bhavadbhi kartavyam
karmanam trigunatmanam
karmanam trigunatmanam
bija nirharanam yogaha
बीजनिर्हरणं योगः
pravaho paramodiyah.
प्रवाहो परमोदिया. Therefore, my dear friends, O son of the demons, your duty is to take to Krishna consciousness, which can burn the seed of fruitive activities artificially created by the modes of material nature and stop the flow of intelligence in wakefulness, dreaming, and deep sleep. In other words, when one takes to Krishna consciousness, his ignorance is immediately dissipated.
So what was the problem is stated in the previous verses. Now in this verse is Prahlad Maharaj trying to give the solution. Tasmat, therefore, my dear friends, all of you must destroy this materialistic intelligence, the cause of actions in the three gunas, the cause of wakefulness, dreaming, and deep sleep. So then what one should do? One should be in Turiya state. That is the indirect hint. The result is the cessation of the three states of intelligence. So by destroying the materialistic intelligence or by spiritualizing the material intelligence, one does not go through Jagruta, Swapna and Sushupti. Instead, one will be placed in Turiya state. That is the answer. So that means one should always try to come to Turiya state. That is the understanding. Therefore, one must endeavor to extinguish this materialistic intelligence. The seed is material intelligence. The seed for material samsara is material intelligence. It must be destroyed. How? There must destruction of the states of waking, dreaming, and deep sleep belonging to the intelligence. Yoga is the result. So that means one should not have any more material existence in the future. That means one's intelligence is destroyed. So basically, one should give up the subtle body, then one should attain the spiritual body. So attaining spiritual body is equal to destroying the subtle body. So that means one should always endeavor to attain or spiritualize or purify the contaminated subtle body. So that is the solution.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Mataji.
Prabhuji, this Turiya state which you mentioned, does it mean Krishna consciousness?
Yes. What it means and all, Prahlad Maharaj will say at the end. That is basically, Turiya is Bhava Prema platform. One should come to Bhava Prema platform, Krishna consciousness. That what you say is correct.
Total Krishna consciousness.
Yes, complete Krishna consciousness. That he will explain in the future section. So in that way.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, can you say that Prahlad Maharaj is on that platform that which he is describing?
Yes, he's already in Turiya platform. That's why he was not affected by material. His father told his army to kill him. So they were trying to kill him. He was not at all afraid. He's already in Turiya state. What's happening externally is indifferent to all those things. He's not on the bodily platform. Whatever is happening to the body, not to the soul. So he's always meditating on the pastures of Supreme Lord in that Turiya state. So like that.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
In the next section, so Prahlad Maharaj will talk about if we want to come to this Turiya state, what we are supposed to do. Tasmat, when he told, therefore, destroy the subtle body. The question is how? By the practice of bhakti. Now, when you say by the practice of bhakti, how to practice bhakti? First of all, what is bhakti? Next question is how to practice that bhakti. So, Prahlad Maharaj will give some hint about that. Tatropaya sahasranam.
Tatropaya sahasranam.
Ayam bhagavato uditaha.
Ayam bhagavato ditaha.
Yadishware bhagavati.
Yadishware bhagavati.
Yataye ranjasaratihi.
Yathayair anjasaratihi. Of the different processes recommended for disentanglement from material life, the one personally explained and accepted by the Supreme Personality of Godhead should be considered all perfect. That process is the performance of duties by which love for the Supreme Lord develops.
Among the thousands of methods for destroying the material intelligence, the process proclaimed by the Lord himself, that is Bhakti Yoga, is the real method, whose Anga, known as service to Guru, produces Bhakti. Out of 64 Angas of Bhakti, Ado Guru Padashraya, also something like that, from which Rati to the Supreme Lord appears at the main result. Ado Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, Anartha Nivritti, Nishtha, Ruchi, Asakti, Bhava, Prema. So whenever the word Rati comes in the Bhagavatam, Rati means Bhava and Prema. Like that we have to understand. So one develops intense Bhava and then Prema unto the Supreme Lord. When one understands that, one should practice Bhakti. How to practice Bhakti? Take shelter of a Guru, Guru will tell. So like that. Among the thousands of means of burning of the seed of samsara, the subtle body, the method recommended by the Lord is Bhakti. Other methods are inferior because they are proclaimed by other sages. Okay, there are thousands of methods mentioned by thousands of sages, but the Supreme Lord himself talks the perfect method is Bhakti. Bhakti should be accepted. Why to accept the methods mentioned by other people? Accept the method mentioned by Supreme Lord only. So like that. All other methods are inferior because they are proclaimed by different sages, but the method proclaimed by Supreme Lord is perfect. So what is this method? From this Bhakti Yoga, which arises from its Anga of serving Guru, Rati appears. So Bhakti Yoga begins from serving to Guru. It takes one to the state of attainment of Rati. So what is this method? This method is known as Bhakti Yoga. The Vada Anjasa in ablative case, that means directly from Bhakti Yoga. When we practice Bhakti Yoga, Anjasa means very easily. By the practice of Bhakti Yoga, one attains Rati, which is the chief result. So very easily, by taking shelter of Bhakti under the supervision of Guru, one comes to the platform of Rati. So that is understanding, which is the chief result of Bhakti. Burning of material intelligence is only an accompanying result. The previous verse said that therefore one should burn the material intelligence. That will happen as a byproduct. It is achieved without effort by those practicing Shuddha Bhakti. When one comes to Shuddha Bhakti platform, the material intelligence is burnt easily. Third canto talks about this. Jarayati Ashuya Kosham Nigirna Manaloyata. That bhakti quickly destroys the subtle body, just as digestive fire consumes the food eaten by a person. So like that. When one practices bhakti, samsara will be easily dissolved. The papa avoiding one rati. So that is the understanding. Therefore, one should practice bhakti, which destroys the material existence by destroying the three states of intelligence. Like that, Prahlada Maharaj, step by step, he will be introducing them to the parasa bhakti.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, in these words, the other methods mentioned are like jnana, yoga, like that. Those methods it is referred to.
Yeah, many other methods, including jnana, yoga, karma, and also other methods people might talk about.
Yeah,
All
because
methods.
it is written that they are inferior because they have been invented by the sages like that. So, like I was confused because karma, jnana, all these methods, Lord also has spoken about in Bhagavad Gita. So, means how
No,
to
no. Lord has spoken all those things, but Lord also says in the Bhagavatam 11th canto that bhakti is my heart. Remaining are all like my bodily limbs, but bhakti is my heart. He spoke Narada Muni, the Narada Bhakti Sutra, yeah, about bhakti only.
Okay, so then how to understand means whatever the Lord has spoken, like first 6 adhyaya we say that it is about karma, and then last 6 adhyaya are about jnana. So means Lord has given it, and we understand it that Lord has given it for those who don't have shraddha for the accepting
See,
pure bhakti.
Lord has told all of the other things also, but what pleases the Lord most?
Yeah, Lord.
See, Lord has given all those things because he has given because people may not willing to practice bhakti, so at least do this. But the main thing that Lord wants is Shuddha Bhakti. Rajavidya, Rajaguhyam, Pavitra, Midamuttamam, Pratyaksha Avagamam Dharmam, Susukam, Kartum Abhyayam. That is Ananya Bhakti. Even though Arjuna did not ask, Lord himself speaks about Ananya Bhakti. That is what he wanted to give to us. When you ask something where the answer is given, that does not mean that Lord has given it. Lord is only answering your question. But without being asked when Lord is giving something, that means Lord wanted to give that.
Okay.
So like that also we can see. When it comes to the discussion about karma, jnana, yoga and all, because Arjuna asking about them, Lord is speaking. But bhakti, even Ananya Bhakti, even though Arjuna did not ask, Lord presented it. That he wanted to give on his own.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Other devotees are able to follow? Hare Krishna, any questions from other devotees?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Yes, we are able to follow.
Okay. Of the two topics to be taught, jnana related to bhakti and bhakti, Shuddha Bhakti. So bhakti alone and jnana mishra bhakti. Because previously he was talking about the 24 elements, activities performed by the body, Jagruta, Swapna, they are all Jnana Mishra Bhakti. So they are also that is also should be followed by Bhakti devotee only, but they have the complete mixture of Jnana, the understanding of the material nature, etc. Now the second one is pure Bhakti, Shuddha Bhakti. Forget about all these things, just engage in Ananya Bhakti. So in that way. Jnana has been explained in the previous section. Now the Angas of Bhakti, which was hinted, is described in next 3 verses. Next 3 verses, 30, 31, 32, talks about direct Bhakti. What one should be doing in exclusive Bhakti. So in that way it is mentioned now. So let us see. What are the different Angas of Bhakti? What kind of Bhakti one should practice if one want to practice exclusive Bhakti? Guru Shushurushaya Bhaktya
गुरु शुश्रूषया भक्त्या
Sarva Labdharpanena Cha
सर्वलब्धार्पणेन च
Sangena Sadhu Bhaktanam
Sangena sadhu bhaktanam
Ishvararadhanena cha
Ishvararadhanena cha
Shraddhaya Tatkatayatam cha
Shraddhaya tatkathaya cha
Shraddhaya Tatkatayam cha
Shraddhaya tatkathayam cha
Kirtaner Gunakarmanam
Kirtanair gunakarmanam
Tatpadam Buruha Dhyanat
Tatpadamburuha dhyanat
Tallinge Ksharhanadibihi.
Tallinge sharhanadibhi. One must accept the bona fide spiritual master and render service unto him with great devotion and faith. Whatever one has in one's possession should be offered to the spiritual master, and in the association of saintly persons and devotees, one should worship the Lord. Hear the glories of the Lord with faith, glorify the transcendental qualities and activities of the Lord, always meditate on the Lord's lotus feet, and worship the deity of the Lord strictly according to the injunctions of the Shastra and Guru.
There are total 8 angas of bhakti are described in 3 verses. This verse talks about 7 angas. The next verse talks about 8th anga, which a devotee must be doing always. One performs bhakti yoga by service to Guru, offering Guru all that one possesses. Guru Sushrushya Bhaktya Sarva Labdharpanena cha. One should serve Guru submitting all one has. This is the first thing. Second one is by associating with the devotees of good conduct. Sangena sadhu bhaktanam. So always associated with sadhu bhaktas, devotees of good conduct. The third one is by worship of the Supreme Lord. Ishvara Aradhanena cha. Always worship the Supreme Lord. Deity worship. By faith in topics of the Lord. Shraddhaya tatkatayam cha. So always hear Krishna Katha with complete faith. By chanting about Lord's qualities and activities. Kirtaner Gunakarmanam. So continuously describe, glorify Lord's qualities and activities. Nama Rupa Gunalila. And then by meditation on Lord's lotus feet. Tat Param Buruhat Dhyanat. Always meditate upon Lord's lotus feet. And finally, by seeing the deity and making offerings to the deity. Tal Lingeksha Narhanadibihi. And today we have in the temple flower festival. So the Lord is being seen and Lord is being worshipped by the flower petals. Such kind of service should be done. Seeing the deity in special decoration and also worship the Lord with special offerings. These are various activities that one should be doing as a devotee. So Rati arises by service to Guru, such as bathing him and massaging him by offering to him with devotion all articles obtained without desire for gaining any recognition. When one is offering something to spiritual master, one should not having that feeling that okay, I should be recognized by the spiritual master, giving so many things, big things like that. Without any recognition, without expecting any recognition, one should offer all one has, something like that. And one should be continuously associated with devotees who have proper conduct. Sadhu Bhakthanam. It is not recommended to associate closely with devotees of bad conduct. So they may be devotees. We should associate with them, but not closely. Somebody might be having some bad conduct. Though they may be served, respected and seen. Such kind of devotees can be seen, can be respected, can be served, but not closely associated with them. Because they are devotees, they should be seen, they should be respected, they should be served whenever the need, as per the need of the hour. But one should not associate closely with them. One should associate closely with one who has good conduct. Sadhu Bhaktanam Sangena. So like that, these are 7 important activities a devotee must do. 32nd verse talks about the 8th important activity. A devotee also must be doing it. Wherein Prahlada Maharaj says, Hari Sarveshu Bhuteshu
Hari Sarveshu Bhuteshu
Bhagavan asta Ishvaraha
Bhagavanasta Ishvara
iti bhutani manasa
iti bhutani manasa
kamaistais sadhumanayet.
kamaste sadhumanayet. Translation: one should always remember the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his localized representation as the Paramatma, who is situated in the core of every living entity's heart. Thus, one should offer respect to every living entity according to that living entity's position or manifestation. Hare Krishna.
By the mind, one should respect all living beings with their individual desires, thinking that the Supreme Lord is situated in all beings. So one should offer all respects to all living entities because Paramatma is residing in each and every living entity. Different people have different ways of behaving, different limitations, all these things are there. But one should respect them with all due respect because Paramatma is residing within them. But one thing, one should not closely associate with them. One should see them, one should respect them, one should serve them, but not closely associate with them. That care should be taken. So in that way. So these are the three verses which talks about what are the important activities of Bhakta, a Shuddha Bhakta, what they should be doing. There are many more angas which are mentioned by Rupa Goswami in Bhaktan Sindhu, 64 items, but the important items are mentioned here by Prahlada Maharaj. Some of such important items are also mentioned by Lord Kapila in the third canto, and some of them are mentioned here by Prahlada Maharaj. So in that way. So if one practices bhakti with his 8 angas, what will happen? How does that bhakti will help such a devotee? Now Prahlad Maharaj will talk about it. Evam nirjita shadvargaye
एवं निर्जिता षड्वर्गे
kriyate bhaktirishvare
क्रियते भक्तिरीश्वरे
vasudeve bhagavati
वासुदेवे भगवती
yaya samlabhyate ratihi.
यया संलभ्यते रतिः. By these activities, as mentioned above, one is able to cut down the influence of the enemies, namely lust, anger, greed, illusion, madness, and jealousy. And when thus situated, one can render service to the Lord. In this way, one surely attains the platform of loving service to the Supreme Personality of God.
Evam thus nirjita shadvargaye kriyate bhaktirishvare. When we execute bhakti unto Supreme Lord, one will be able to control the shed vargas. Bhakti is performed by these methods, devoid of lust, anger, greed, illusion, pride, and hatred. Kama, krodha, lobha, mada, moha, matsara.
बार बार उधर जा रही है, वो पहले वाइंड अप करके रखना सब, तो ऐसे ही थोड़ी ना पड़ा रहेगा रात भर. उसको उधर टेबल रख और वो ले जाके रख टेबल पे. हाँ.
Okay. Mute kiya. Bhakti is performed by these methods, devoid of lust, anger, greed, pride, envy, illusion, etc. By this method, Rati to Lord Vasudeva will be obtained. When we execute such a bhakti, we will come to the platform of Rati. Having conquered the 6 vargas starting with lust, or the 6 senses including the mind, by these methods of bhakti, by these angas of bhakti, by these angas, Shuddha Bhakti arises. That means bhakti means prema arises. The accompanying result is cessation of the states of intelligence. That was stated in verse number 28. The main result of bhakti is explained here. Rati or prema to Lord Vasudeva is obtained. Okay, come to the back gate. Okay, just 1 minute. 1 minute, 1 minute. Hare Krishna, just a 1 minute break. So I'll just come back. Hare Krishna. Sorry. So we'll continue. निशम्य कर्माणि गुणान् तुल्यान्
निशम्य कर्माणि गुणान् अतुल्यान्
वीर्याणि लीलातनुभिः कृतानि
वीर्याणि लीलातनुभिः कृतानि
यदाति हर्षोत्पुलकाश्रुगद्गदम्
यदाति हर्षो पुलकाश्रुगद्गदम्
प्रोत्कण्ठ उद्गायति रौति नृत्यति
प्रोत्कण्ठ उद्गायति रौति नृत्यति. One who is situated in devotional service is certainly the controller of his senses, and thus he is a liberated person. When such a liberated person, the pure devotee, hears of the transcendental qualities and activities of the Lord's incarnations for the performance of various pastimes, his hair stands on end on his body, tears fall from his eyes, and in his spiritual realization, his voice falters. Sometimes he very openly dances, sometimes he sings loudly, and sometimes he cries. Thus he expresses his transcendental jubilation.
The different symptoms of one who comes to the state of bhava are indicated in this verse.
Hare Krishna, cannot hear you, Prabhuji.
Mataji. One second. So here, Prahlad Maharaj when the devotee, on hearing about the incomparable qualities, activities, and heroic feats performed by the different avatar Supreme Lord, becomes choked up with tears in his eyes and hair standing on end in joy, and sings, shouts, and dances, he achieves the Lord. See, how do we understand that somebody, by practicing the angas of bhakti, which are mentioned in the previous verses, as in of a guru, had come to a state of bhava. This verse talks about a devotee. How does he behave when he comes to bhava state? When the devotee, on hearing about the incomparable qualities, activities, and heroic activities for feats are performed by Supreme Lord and his various avatars, he immediately becomes choked up, gadgada, with tears in his eyes, ashuru, hair standing on end, pulakashru gadgada, yada harsha utpullaka, and sings, shouts, and dances. Protkanta udgayati rauti nrutyati. And such a person in no time goes back to Godhead. So that means one wants to go back to Godhead, one should have the symptoms manifesting. Then one is on the way to spiritual world. So like that. The symptoms of Rati are described. Rati means Bhava and Prema. Actions of the Lord include stealing milk and yogurt. Qualities of the Lord include items like affection for the devotees. Heroic acts are actions such as lifting Govardhana and killing Kamsa. So when one hears these things, one should come to the platform of Bhava. Matlab, hearing those things, one should exhibit the symptoms of Bhava. Who is the example we remember? Pundrika Vidyanidhi, Srivas Thakur, Pundrika Vidyanidhi. Just by hearing the glories of the Supreme Lord, they would immediately exhibit all these symptoms. Kulashekar Alvar, so like that. Immediately they exhibit the symptoms of prema. Such kind of devotees are on the way to spiritual world without any doubt. Like that. So then he further says, then what else? Yada graha grasta iva kvachid dasati
यदा ग्रहग्रस्त इव क्वचिद्धस्ति
akrandate dhyayati vandate janam.
आक्रन्दते ध्यायति वन्दते जनम्
Muhoshvashan vakti hare jagatpate.
मुहुश्वसन् भक्ति हरे जगत्पते
नारायणायेति आत्ममतिर्गततृपा.
नारायणेत्यात्ममतिर्गतत्रपा. When a devotee becomes like a person haunted by a ghost, he laughs and very loudly chants about the qualities of the Lord. Sometimes he sits to perform meditation and he offers respect to every living entity, considering him a devotee of the Lord. Constantly breathing very heavily, he becomes careless of social etiquettes and loudly chants like a madman, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, O my Lord, O Master of the universe.
So, in addition to the symptoms mentioned in the previous verse, this verse also talks about few more additional which are manifested by such a devotee.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, your voice is trailing off in between.
Sorry. When he laughs, as if haunted by a ghost, yada graha grasta iva kvachit asati. Sometimes he laughs like a madman or he is haunted by a ghost. Wails akrandane, meditates dhyayati, offers respects to everyone. Vandate janam. Even though apparently one does not deserve to be respected so much, so highly, but he offers respects because he sees Lord everywhere. Tavara Jangama Deki Nadeki Taramurti Sarvatra Prasara Hoibe Ishtadeva Spurti. And sometimes breathes heavily at all times. Becomes absorbed in contemplation by the mind and without shame. Says only, O Lord, O Master of the universe, O Narayana. Such a person attained the Supreme Lord. Hare Jagatpate Narayana Iti Atmamatir Gatatrupa. So that should be the consciousness of a person who has attained Bhava and Prema. So this is what one should come to, like that Prahlada Maharaj is saying. Such a person says always, O Lord, O Master of the universe, O Narayana, and he continuously contemplates within the mind about the wonderful qualities and activities of the Supreme Lord. So these are the symptoms.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji can't hear you.
I am speaking. Okay. You are able to follow what exactly it means, Baba? How Prahlada Maharaj is kind of indicating from where to go where. What is our current state, which was mentioned in the beginning of this chapter. Our out of 100 years of life, 50% of time goes in sleeping. First 10, 20 years goes in play. And then next 20 years studies, something like that. And the last 20 years old age, invalid. And before that 20 years old age. In between, whatever time is there, that will be gone in earning money to maintain the family. So where is the time for bhakti? Like that, he started the current situation. From there, we should come to this one. Asati, Rauti, Gayati, Nrutyati, Dhavati, etc., etc., etc. So that is what is expected from a devotee. What one should do, etc., etc. So here he says,
One sense, like
Prabhuji,
Prahlad
one
Maharaj,
second.
he's explaining his own state now, Prabhuji. Like means we
and that's
studied
what
that.
he said. Now, it is by the blessings of Narada Muni I have come to this state. And if you listen and follow, you will also come to this state.
Yeah.
So ultimately, that is the ultimate state one should come to. Yeah, he has come, and he wants all of us to come.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. One question.
Mataji. Yes, Mataji.
Prabhuji, in the purport of text 33, there is the mention of bhava and anubhava. So is it the same or something different? Anubhava?
Bhava and Anubhava. Anubhava means it will deeper states of Bhava as you go inside further and further. So in that way we can understand.
Okay.
So in that way. In that Bhava, there are different states are there. So in that way we can understand.
Okay, Prabhuji.
So then Prahlad Maharaj further continues. Tada puman mukta samasta bandhanas.
Tada puman mukta samasta bandhanas.
Tad bhava bhavanu. Tad bhava bhavanu kruta shayakriti.
Tadbhava bhavanukrita
Nirdakta bijanushayo mahiyasha.
Nirdagdha bijanushayo yasam
Bhakti prayogena sameti adokshajam.
Bhakti prayogena sametya dhokshajam. The devotee is then freed from all material contamination because he constantly thinks of the Lord's pastimes and because his mind and body have been converted to spiritual qualities. Because of his intense devotional service, his ignorance, material consciousness, and all kinds of material desires are completely burned to ashes. This is the stage at which one can achieve the shelter of the Lord's lotus feet.
By these methods, that person liberated from all bondage, with mind and body acting for the Lord and thinking of the Lord, having already burnt up the seed of desire, achieves a direct meeting with the Supreme Lord through his Raga Bhakti. Such a bhakti is called as Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti, spontaneous, loving, devotional service. Only by such a spontaneous, loving, devotional service, one will attain the Lord very easily and very quickly. It is said that Anjasa in one of the previous verse. Anjasa is possible only by such Raga Bhakti. So in that way. As a byproduct, one is already freed from all the material existence. Jagruti, Swapna, Suchiti, all are destroyed as a byproduct only. At this time, one's mind and body conform to his contemplation of his particular relation, thinking, I am his servant or I am his friend. Basically, one should come to the platform of Dasya, Sakya, Vasalya, Madhurya states. So that's why it is called Madhurya Bhakti. One should not worry that the body still remains in samsara. Having come to this platform of that I am the Lord's Dasya, Sakya, Vasalya, Madhurya, then material body is there or not there. One does not worry about the material body. One does not identify the material body. Previously, the seed of material intelligence and the impressions of sense objects have been destroyed. He attains a meeting with the Supreme Lord by Ragamaga Bhakti. But now it says that the previous section that Jnana with Bhakti, only destruction of subtle body was the main goal. But now in Shuddha Bhakti, the goal is going to the Lord's abode and meeting the Lord. That is easily possible by Ragamarga Bhakti, Mahiyasa, the superlative nature of pure devotional service, which is attained by Ragamarga. So in that way. So one should aspire to go and be with the Supreme Lord for the rest of eternity. That should be the bona fide aspiration. So like that, Prahlada Maharaj indicating everyone, become the servant of the Supreme Lord. So in that way. Then he further says, what do you mean by becoming servant of Supreme Lord? He says that Adokshajaalambamiha iha shubhatmanaha
Adhokshajaalambhamiha shubhatmana
sharirina samshruti chakras shatanam
sharirina samsruti chakrashatanam
tad brahma nirvana sukham vidurbudas
tad brahma nirvana sukham vidurbudha
tato bhajadvam hrudaye hrudishwaram.
tato bhajadvam hrudaye hrudishwaram. The real problem of life is the repetition of birth and death, which is like a wheel rolling repeatedly up and down. This wheel, however, completely stops when one is in touch with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In other words, by the transcendental bliss realized from constant engagement in devotional service, one is completely liberated from material existence. All learned men know this. Therefore, my dear friends, O son of the Asuras, immediately begin meditating upon the worshipping the super soul within everyone's heart.
The wise know that direct contact with the Lord, which includes within it the happiness of Brahman, destroys samsara for the sinful persons possessing material bodies in this world. Therefore, worship in your heart the Lord who various bhavas. So somebody may say that why you are talking about meeting the Lord? Brahmananda is the most topmost aspiring thing. So one should aspire to attain Brahmananda. So why are you asking us to meet the Lord? Then he says that, okay, the Vedas may proclaim the Brahmananda is the topmost, but meeting the Lord includes Brahmananda also. It is much more than that. So in that way, he says, it is not the is it not the happiness of Brahman well known as the highest goal? The question could come from people in this world, or the students might ask. Prahlada says, yes, that is true. Yes, that may be true. However, it is included in the happiness of meeting the Lord. Yes, from the common point of view, Brahmananda is topmost. But from Shuddha Bhakti point of view, meeting the Lord includes Brahmananda as well. The wise know that direct attainment of the Lord or even slight contact of the mind with the Supreme Lord destroys the wheel of samsara. That is also the happiness of Brahman. In the Supreme Lord possesses that Brahman. So in that way, there is unlimitedly greater happiness arising from one's possessive feelings caused by the Lord's having dasya and other bhavas than in experiencing the happiness of Brahma Nirvana, since one tastes the sweetness of the Lord's feet. Now, with a nice example, Prahlada, what is that example? In attaining the Lord, there is a concept called as possessiveness. In attaining Brahman, there is no concept of possessiveness. When there is possessiveness, there is greater happiness. When there is no possessiveness, there is not a greater happiness. The example is very beautiful. There is a natural happiness on seeing the moon, which gives bliss and good fortune by all people's eyes. On full moon day, if we see moon, there is happiness for everyone. Everyone will have some nice happiness. Everyone feel happy, cool, soothing, and everything is nice. But immediately, there is millions of times more bliss on seeing his own sun because of one possessiveness. You are on the terrace. You are looking in the sky. There is clear sky. Moon is there. All the stars are there. You are so happy. You glorify the beauty of the moon. But when your sun comes there, you no more look at the moon. You look at the sun. You will cuddle, kiss, embrace, and you sing, play, dance. All these things you do with the sun. Now no more moon because there is possessiveness with the sun. Even though the sun may be lame, blind, or deaf, which is a misfortune in everyone else's eyes. But for the parents, the sun is more beautiful than the moon. The Brahmananda is like looking at the moon. Bhagavad Ananda is like embracing one's own child. So this is much more greater than looking at the moon. So in the sky, there is the greatest amount of bliss arising from the Lord Swarupa as Bhagavan, the Parabrahman, possessing bhavas like Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya, etc. If one has possessiveness for that form, one experiences the greatest good fortune of falling into thousands of waves into the ocean of bliss. Today also we may be seeing the deity. We may not have so much possessiveness, that's why we may not experience so much happiness. But the day we develop possessiveness that he is my Lord, I am his servant, then the happiness that one derives is incomparable to anything else we can talk about in this world. So this is how we have to understand. Where there is possessiveness, one derives greatest amount of happiness. Where there is no possessiveness, one's happiness is a general happiness. Same thing we can understand from the fourth canto, the prayers offered by Dhruva Maharaj, wherein he says, Ya nivrate stanavratam tava mam yayad bhavajjanakatas travanena vasyat sa brahmani swamahimni apinatamabhut kim tvantakaashilulitat patitam vimanat. The bliss of your servant available from meditating on your lotus feet or from hearing about your pastimes from the devotees is not available in your form of Brahman. The happiness a devotee experiences by seeing you, by serving you, by meditating upon your Nama, Rupa, Gunilla, even by hearing about your Nama, Rupa, Gunilla from a pure devotee. That happiness one cannot experience in Brahman also. Then what to speak of Swarga? If one cannot experience this kind of happiness in Brahman, then how can one experience in Swarga? So like that. So Bhakti says about this Brahman as the bliss of Brahman realization accumulated by Samadhi lasting for half of Brahma's life cannot compare to one drop of ocean of happiness of Bhakti. Even if one stays in Brahman and continuously experiencing Brahmananda for 50 years of Brahma, that is not even comparable to one drop of the ocean of happiness of Bhakti. Rupa Goswami says this in Bhakti Sindhu. That is a comparison given. Another version has Adokshajamalam, Adokshajal That means the wise know that the happiness of Brahman, which had the form of the Lord with Dasya, Sakya, and other rasas as its object of love, destroys the wheel of samsara. So there is one comparison is the happiness of Bhakti with Brahmananda. The other comparison is the happiness of Bhagavan, serving Bhagavan in comparison to the material existence. So in that. Rudishwaram means the master having bhakti endowed with dasya and other bhavas. The best means the Shuddha Bhakti produces happiness, not other means. The Lord is the friend of the Jiva, residing like ether in his heart. So basically, for the Lord, every Jiva is a friend. But for Jiva, the day the Jiva considers Lord to be one's friend, the happiness that Jiva experiences is incomparable to anything that one can think of. So like that. Basically says that, my dear friends, please practice bhakti in such a way that you become Lord's servant or friend, dasya or sakya, by raga bhakti. Such kind of bhakti one should execute. Like that, Prahlad Maharaj is trying to inspire his classmates. So finally he says, what kind of ultimate state one should come to. So in that way he says, Koti prayaso surabalaka harer
Koti prayaso surbalaka harer.
upasane swe hridi chitravasata
Upasane swe ridhi chidravatsatam.
swasyatmana sakyurashesha dehinam
Svasyatmana sakyur ashesha dehinam.
samanyata kim vishayopapadanai.
Samanyata kim vishayopapadanai. O my friends, sons of the Asuras, the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his Super Soul feature always exists within the course of the hearts of all living entities. Indeed, he is the well-wisher and friend of all living entities, and there is no difficulty in worshipping the Lord. Why then should people not engage in his devotional service? Why are they so addicted to unnecessarily producing artificial paraphernalia for sense gratification?
So finally says that therefore practice bhakti and why you want to do all other things. That is the final word. Oh demon boys, Asura Balaka. What difficulty is there in worshiping the Supreme Lord, the friend of every Jiva, who remains in the heart like a ether? Just like ether is everywhere, Paramatma is everywhere. What is the use of obtaining material enjoyment for humans who are like animals in their quest for enjoyment? So why one is endeavoring continuously for material happiness? Instead, endeavor for practicing bhakti so that one can come to the platform of Arati. So that's what Prahlad Maharaj is inspiring his friends to do. There is no difficulty in worshipping a friend. A friend will be satisfied whatever little we do. So in that way, because of the presence of the Lord in all times in the heart, and because of his affectionate nature, because of the processes of hearing and chanting, which also can be done at all times, since the ear and tongue are always present, without bothering to find ingredients from elsewhere. What is the difficulty? Somebody may say that, how can I practice bhakti? Bhakti is so difficult. We need this, we need that. No, nothing is required. You have tongue, you have ears. You can do Shravanam and Kirtanam. In order to do Shravanam Kirtanam, you no need to spend even one single penny. You need to accumulate any objects to worship. He is not even telling that please do deity worship, just to do Shravanam Kirtanam, for which one no need to spend even single penny. These two are always available with us from the time of birth all the way till the death. So practicing bhakti is not at all a difficult thing. So like that. On the other hand, there is a great fatigue in a person's action for attaining hell. If at all one want to go to hell, one need to work hard to perform sinful activities. He criticizes the tendency of material happiness. What is the use of attaining materials such as garlands, sandalwood, and women for enjoyment? The cause is the misfortune of being similar to pigs by being fixed on enjoyment. For attaining material enjoyment or for go to hell, one need to work hard. But for practicing bhakti, least endeavor. Therefore, practice bhakti. That's how he is telling to Asura Kumaras, Asura Balakas. So basically, the Prahlad Maharaj point is that practicing bhakti is very easy compared to any other thing one want to do. Pious activities and impious activities. Both are very difficult. But bhakti, simple. Shravanam Kirtanam. Ears are there, tongue is there. Just use them. One no need to have any external arrangements. So in that way. So that's how he told in this section what is bhakti and how to practice bhakti. And what kind of destiny one will come to by such practice of bhakti. Rati. What are the symptoms of Rati and all are indicated. Any questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, like generally means when we talk of bhakti, the 9 angas of bhakti are explained. But here, Prahlad Maharaj is also stressing a lot on meditating on the Paramatma form of the Lord. So like I was little finding it difficult to
No, no.
understand that.
See, here in one sense, you don't go by that word itself. Paramatma means Bhagavan only. So the shloka is using such a word, that's why the translation is given as Paramatma and all. But ultimately, Prahlad Maharaj meant either you meditate upon Nama, Rupa, Gunalila of the Supreme Lord, who is seen as Paramatma or Brahman, whichever way you may see. But ultimately, the same person you meditate on his pastimes. In order to come to the meditation, you need to do Shravanam Kirtanam. Without Shravanam Kirtanam, one cannot come to meditation. So one should be careful about that. Shravanam Kirtanam, anybody can do. Among the 9 angas of bhakti, doing any other thing is very difficult. The other things may need some prerequisites. But for Shravanam Kirtanam, no prerequisites and no conditions apply. Anybody, any person who has ears and tongue can do Shravanam Kirtanam. That's why no one is barred from the execution of bhakti. So that is the understanding.
Okay, so here whatever form in the core of heart Prahlad Maharaj is saying, that is to be considered as a form of Bhagavan only, like that.
Yes. So all three should be taken as one person because the shloka using that word, that's how the translation is coming, but it's all Supreme Lord.
Okay, thank you.
Who is there as Paramatma in the heart of every living entity. So like that we should take.
Thank you.
Other devotees, any questions till now?
No, Prabhuji.
Okay. Then we'll move on. In the next section, from 49 to 50, Prahlad Maharaj is going to say how struggle for material things is unworthy. Instead, learn Atmadattva. So in that way. Raya Kalatram Pashava Sutadayo.
Raya Kalatram Pashava Sutadayo.
Griha Mahi Kunjara Kota Bhutaya.
Gruhamahi Kunjara Kosha Bhutaya.
Sarve
Sarvertha Kama Kshanabhangurayusha.
Kurvanti Martyasya Kiyat Priyam Chala.
Kurvanti Martyasya Kiyat Priyam Chala. One's reaches beautiful wife and female friends, one's sons and daughters, one's residence, one's domestic animals like cows, elephants, and horses, one's treasury, economic development, and sense gratification. Indeed, even the lifetime in which one can enjoy all these material opulences are certainly temporary and flickering, since the opportunity of human life is temporary. What benefit can these material opulences give to a sensible man who has understood himself to be eternal?
So since Asuras are very fond of all these things, Prahlad Maharaj is talking about all these things. You want to possess all these things, but what kind of happiness they will present to the happiness of becoming a servant or a friend of the Supreme in that way. How much pleasure can ephemeral wealth, wife,
Hare
animals,
Krishna
sons?
Prabhuji, your voice is very low.
Okay, internet issue maybe. Now you are able to hear me?
Yes, we can
Yes,
hear, but
it
in
is
between
clear.
it goes very low and it fades, means we can't hear properly.
That could be the internet issue. So, okay. I will repeat. Whenever you are not able to hear, let me know. I will repeat. How much pleasure can the ephemeral wealth, wife, animals, sons, daughters, residences, elephants, treasury, luxuries, economic development, and sense gratification produce for the human with uncertain lifespan? Kshana Bangurayusha. Durlabo Manusho Gehe, Dehinam Kshana Banguram. Tatrapi Durlabam Manne Vaikunta. So in 11th canto, this verse comes. Durlabo very rarely Manusho Gehe, Dehinam Kshana Banguram. And even life Kshana Banguram, it does not last long. It will end very soon. Same thing. So for a human, what kind of happiness will he desire? Will he derive from the wealth, the family members, vehicles, children, residences, palaces, bank, and other things? So like that. Because asuras are always from the point of view. The material happiness of others is not. Raya means wealth. Arthakama means Arthakama. So not only Prahlada Maharaj is talking to people in general, this material world, all these things.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Mataji.
Prabhuji, your voice is not blanking out, but it is suddenly audible and then it just lapses for a few seconds. And again, we can hear, and this is going on.
Sorry, it could be because of Wi-Fi issue. So because in the temple, so many programs are happening.
Okay.
So that could be the reason. So no problem. I'll repeat. So basically, Prahlada Maharaj is saying that, oh my dear Asura, my dear friends of people in general, all of you might be fond of all these material opulences, which includes wealth, wife, children, sons, daughters, animals, residents. But what kind of happiness one derives from all these things with a uncertain human life? The lifespan is not predestined. Anytime, anybody, one can give guarantee. I can live 100 years. I have 100 years of enjoyment. No one can give guarantee like that. The material happiness of the enjoyers is not permanent. So that is the understanding.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, can changing the place little bit make some change? Because you are repeating, but a repetition also having the similar kind of voice.
We are sitting in the base classroom. Normally it comes properly only, but today the festival is going on in the temple, so that could be the reason. Everyone might be using all over temple.
Yeah.
Okay, no problem. Anyway, it is more than 8:05. Few more minutes we have. We will discuss few more verses. Let us see what happens. So now in this section, Prahlada Maharaj is going to say that how this material world is not of a worthy endeavor. Bhakti is a worthy endeavor. In order to show that, though people in general are after all these things, what kind of happiness a undefined, not undefined, we can say, uncertain human life. So that is the first point. The next second point is evam hi loka pratubhikrita ami
Evam hi loka kratubhi krita ami
shaishnavasatishayana nirmala
क्षयेष्णवासातिशयान निर्मलः
तस्माददृष्टश्रुता दृशनं परम् श्रुतदूषणं परम्
तस्मात् अदृष्ट श्रुतदूषणं परम्
भक्त्योक्तयेशं भजतात्मलब्धये
भक्त्योत्ययेशं भजतात्मलब्धये. It is learned from Vedic literature that by performing great sacrifices, one may elevate himself to the heavenly planets. However, although life on the heavenly planets is hundreds and thousands of times more comfortable than life on earth, the heavenly planets are not pure, nirmalam, or free from the taint of material existence. The heavenly planets are also temporary, and therefore they are not the goal of life. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, however, has never been seen or heard to possess inebriety. Consequently, for your own benefit and self realization, you must worship the Lord with great devotion as described in the revealed scriptures.
So somebody may say, "Oh, my dear friend, you are telling that family, home, wealth, and use because human lifespan is very small. No problem. I'll go to heaven. I will have long life. I will have long enjoyment." Then Prahlad Maharaj says, "The planets achieved by the sacrifices are perishable and impure. Even the heavenly planets are also perishable by time, and they are not completely pure. With superior enjoyment avoided only according to the amount of pious acts. Whatever enjoyment one may get is only limited by one's pious activities. Pretam bhuktva sargalokam vishalam, kshine punye martalokam vishanti." Once your piety is over, again you have to come back. Therefore, worship the Supreme Lord with devotion, who is faultless. To achieve Him, the real objective of Atma. Once obtaining Bhagavan, one never falls down. That is the distinction. One should not even enjoy the happiness of Sarga, because Sarga is also temporary. Shruti says, "Tad yateha karma jito loka kshiyate evam evamura punya jito loka kshiyate." The world attained in this life through karma dissipates, and the world attained in the next life through punya also dissipates. This life also comes to an end. The next life in Swarga also comes to an end. Don't think that they are eternal. The superiority of enjoyment depends on the amount of pious acts. So one may say that I can enjoy superior happiness. Depends on your superior pious activities. Swarga is impure because there is envy and other bad qualities present there. You may think that Swarga is spotless enjoyment. No, even in Swarga also we have problems. Somebody will envy. You may be thinking that I can enjoy in Swarga. Suddenly Asuras will come and attack you. What kind of enjoyment you will have? Somebody else is envying your enjoyment. So it may go, it may be taken away anytime. Atma Labdaya means for attaining the Lord by the Atma or for attaining Paramatma. Therefore, make all endeavor to attain the Supreme Lord instead of going here and there. Or it can mean for attaining the jewel in the form of Atma, so one should endeavor. Please worship the Supreme Lord, otherwise one is thrown into the mud hole of Swarga or hell, which perishes. And one comes back again. So like that. For Prahlada Maharaj, the happiness here and happiness in the heaven both are insignificant. One should always endeavor to go back home back to Godhead. That is the one pointed thing you want to tell. Vyavasaya Atmika Buddhi Ekeha Purnandana. So in that way. Then he continues. Therefore, endeavor only for going back to Godhead. Yadartha hya karmani
यदर्थ इह कर्माणि
vidvanmani asakrinnaraha
विद्वन्माने असकृन्नरः
karoti ato viparyasam
करोत्ययतो विपर्यासम्
अमोघं विन्दते फलम्.
अमोघं विन्दते फलम्. A materialistic person, thinking himself very advanced in intelligence, continually acts for economic development. But again and again, as enunciated in Vedas, he is frustrated by material activity, either in this life or in the next. Indeed, the result of one obtains are inevitably the opposite of those one desires.
Thinking oneself learned, a man repeatedly performs actions for attaining Swarga and achieves opposite results without fail. Evam Traidharma Manupanna Gata Gatam Kama Kama Labante. One may think that I am very intelligent, I'll go to Swarga and stay there eternally. No, my dear sir, you will go to Swarga. Once your punya is over, you have to come back. Again, you have to perform past rituals. Again, you go to Swarga. Again, you come back. Once party is over, you can come back. Again, you perform. Again, you go to Swarga. This will be keep repeating. It cannot give an everlasting result. One may think that I will stay there eternally, but that will not be possible. Yadarte means determination for pleasure, continuous pleasure. From the determination, one attain the opposite results without fail. One may think that I will enjoy Sarga for the rest of eternity, but that is not possible. One has to come back from Sarga. Sarga is not an eternal residence. It's like that. Prahlada Maharaj is actually dissuading those who are trying to go to Sarga. Then he says, Sukaya Dukkha Mokshaya
Sukhaya dukkha mokshaya
Sankalpa Iha Karmina
sankalpa iha karminam
Tadapnoti Haya Dukkam
tadapnoti haya dukkham
Anihaya Sukhavruta.
anihaya sukhavrita. In this material world, every materialist desires to achieve happiness and diminish his distress, and therefore he acts accordingly. Actually, however, one is happy as long as one does not endeavor for happiness. As soon as one begins his activities for happiness, his conditions of distress begin.
Yeah. So this verse comes same little differently, but in the fifth chapter of the third canto. Sukaya karmani karoti loke nate sukam va naduparamam va vindeta bhuya tatayeva dukkam yadatra yuktam vat Bhagavan vadenna. The Vidura is asking Maitreya, why people are performing activities for getting sukha, for removing their dukkha. Sukaya dukkha mokshaya. Sankalpa ya karmani. They are performing various karmas. But what is happening? Sada apnoti ihaya dukkam. But always they are ended up with dukkha only. So that is what is indicated. And then are they stopping performing activities? Anihaya. No. They are undertaking new activities for what purpose? Sukha vrataha. Hoping that, okay, this activity did not give me happiness, the next activity will give me happiness. Like that. The karmis are determined to achieve happiness in this life by destroying unhappiness, but they achieve only unhappiness by their actions. Happiness will become perfect from giving up the desire for material enjoyment. But the true happiness one experiences only when one gives up the desire to experience material happiness. Then there is true happiness. The true happiness is in giving up the desire to enjoy the material happiness. So like that Prahlada Maharaj is telling. Anihaya means to free of desires. Sukha means their happiness will become perfect. One only gets happiness when one gives up the desire to enjoy the material happiness. So like that. Next, Prahlada Maharaj continues. Kaman kamayate kamair.
Kaman kamayate kamai.
Yadartam iha purushaha.
Yadartham iha purusha.
Tavai dehe dehastu parakyo.
Tavai dehastu parakyo.
Bhanguro yati upaiti cha.
Bhanguro yatyupaiti cha. The living entity desires comfort for his body and makes many plans for this purpose. But actually, the body is the property of others. Indeed, the perishable body embraces the living entity and then leaves him aside.
In order to be happy, a person desires objects of enjoyment and tries to attain them by performing actions. The material world, the happiness is in material objects. In order to get material objects, a person works very hard. The perishable body, however, which is food for vulture, gets destroyed and again makes its appearance in order to give more suffering. The body with which one wants to enjoy, one day it will die. It will become food for vultures or insects. If it is thrown or it is buried, and then again that person gets a new body with the hope to have better enjoyment. But there also one ends up getting misery only. This is the material world. Kamayate means by actions for attaining those objects. Apaiti means if they are all destroyed. And upaiti means again one is made to appear for getting more suffering. Apaiti, upaiti, giving up one body, one gets new body with hope to get enjoyment, but ultimately one ends up getting misery only. Because that is the nature of this material world. Dukkale machasutam. Then Prahlad Maharaj continues. Kim yu vyavahitapatya
Kim yu vyavahita patyam
taragaradhanadaya
daragara dhanadayam
rajyakosha gajamatya
rajyakosha gajamatyam
vrutyapta mamataspada.
vrityapta mamataspadam. Since the body itself is ultimately meant to become stool or earth, what is the meaning of the paraphernalia related to the body, such as wives, residences, wealth, children, relatives, servants, friends, kingdoms, treasuries, animals, and ministers? They are also temporary. What more can be said about this?
Here one interesting point he says that whom we say they are mine. According to Prahlad Maharaj, they are all false possessiveness. What are the children, wife, house, and wealth which are different from the self? Kingdom, treasury, elephants, ministers, servants, and relatives are simply objects of false possessiveness. See, kindly understand at what level Prahlad Maharaj is speaking. So that is important. From the pure devotional point of view, all these things are one's false possessiveness. Because at the time of death, none of them will come along with us. So in that way. And none of these things will take us back to Godhead in one sense. If they are seen only from the point of view of objects of material enjoyment with material consciousness. So in that way, we need to understand. Then Prahlad Maharaj continues in last is couple of verses. Kimetairatmanastuchai
इमेतैरात्मनस्तुश्चैः
saha dehena nashwarai
सह देहेन नश्वरैः
anarthair arthashanakai. Sorry.
अनर्थ
Anarthair arthashankashair
अनर्थ अनर्थैरर्थश्चङ्काशैः
nityanandara sodade.
Nityanandarasodhade. All these paraphernalia is very near and dear as long as the body exists. But as soon as the body is destroyed, all things related to the body are also finished. Therefore, actually, one has nothing to do with them. But because of ignorance, one accepts them as valuable. Compared to the ocean of eternal happiness, they are most insignificant. What is the use of such insignificant relationships for the eternal living being?
Because people in general are very much children, wife, house, and a kingdom, presidents, relatives, etc. etc. But they are all have an existence as long as we have a body. They are all belongs to us as long as we live in a particular body. When we change the body, we have no more relationship with all these people, all these objects, all these properties, etc. So from that point of view, they are all not once real and eternal possessions. They are only the possessions in relation to the body. When we give the body, all these things have to be given up. So therefore, what is the use of these insignificant worthless which appear valuable for a person who experiences this in the ocean of rasa? But for a person who is completely immersed in the rasa, what is the use of all these material possessions? What value is there with all of them? So like that, it is indicated. Atmanaha means the self. Nityananda Rasod, the Rasodade means for the devotees who experience the ocean of eternal bliss from worshipping the Supreme Lord. For such a devotee, what kind of happiness will he desire? Will he desire material objects and people with a material consciousness? So like that. So kindly understand when these verses are talking about wife, home and all, they are explained in terms of dealing them as material expansions. Because the asuras are in the context in which Prahlada is speaking to them, or for people in general conditions in general, when all these things seen in the relation to matter, they are all gone away with the body. So that should be understood. So if the family members are all devotees, then this thing should not be applied for them. If the home is made into a temple, this thing should not be applied for that. So in that way. Then Prahlad continues. Nirupyatam hi saswartha.
Nirupyatam iha swarthaha.
Kiyan deha bruto sura.
Iyan deha bruto suraha.
Nishekadishu avastasu.
Nishekadishu avasthasu.
Klishyamanasya karma bihi.
Klishyamanasya karmabhihi. My dear friends, O sons of the Asuras, the living entity receives different types of bodies according to his previous fruitive activities. Thus, he is seen to suffer with reference to his particular body in all conditions of life, beginning with his infusion into the womb. Please tell me, therefore, after full consideration, what is the living entity's actual interest in fruitive activities, which result in hardship and misery?
So here Prahlad Maharaj says, "O demons, please ascertain the amount of real benefit available in life for a person with no opportunity for pleasure in this world because of one's karma. If one want to endeavor to get material pleasure, which is not written on the forehead, what is the use of endeavoring so much? What kind of real benefit one will get even if one attains a temporary happiness? How does it really helps the soul, the self? So from that point of view, the person actually has no opportunity. That means the soul does not experience material happiness. The material happiness is only experienced in material mind. It does not go all the way up to soul. Then what the soul is experiencing? Really, something like that. Karmanyarabhate dehi
Karmanyarabhate dehi
tehe natmanuvartina
dehe natmanuvartina
karmabhistanute deham
karmabhistanute deham
ubhayam tu avivekatah.
ubhayam tva avivekatah. The living entity who has received his present body because of his past fruitive activity may end the result of his actions in this life, but this does not mean that he is liberated from bondage to material bodies. The living entity receives one type of body, and by performing actions with that body, he creates another. Thus, he transmigrates from one body to another through repeated birth and death because of his gross ignorance.
The jiva performs actions with a human body received according to his past actions. Whatever body, whatever happiness we are receiving now, it is nothing but the result of our previous life's activities. One attains a heavenly body by one's current actions. In the next life, we attain heavenly body by our current actions. This condition arises because of lack of discrimination concerning the Atma in the human and heavenly bodies. So now we are saying I'm human being. Next life, you say that I am Devata. That kind of understanding comes lack of one's real understanding that one is really Atma. When we forget that we are Atma, we identify ourselves as I'm human being, I'm Devata, I'm animal, I'm bird, I'm beast, I'm Asura, etc., 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 like that. Therefore, try to understand that you are Atma. Make endeavor to come to this conclusion instead of making endeavor to get material happiness. That is the conclusion. The Jiva performs actions with a human body, which produces karma, and then he attains another body in Swarga by those actions. Without distinguishing these two bodies from the Atma, one tries to enjoy in the Swarga. So like that. He thinks, I perform actions, I enjoy Swarga as a result of my actions. This type of identity has no sense of discrimination, since the Atma is completely different from the both the bodies. Currently, we are human beings, we perform so many yajnas, we go to Swarga and we get a new body and we say we enjoy. But one says that I am enjoying the result of my activities. No, the activities are done by previous body. The results are enjoyed by the current body. Both are different, and both of them are completely different from Atma. That knowledge one does not have. That is the problem. One should endeavor to have that knowledge. So if at all you want to have the knowledge of Atma, how Atma is different from the material body which is experiencing happiness and distress and all, perform bhakti. Please practice bhakti. So that desire will be expressed and elaborated in the next section, text number 48 to 52. So which we will see in the next week. Hare Krishna. We'll stop here. It's already about 8:30. Any questions from devotees?
Okay.
Okay. If there are no questions, we'll stop here for today and we'll continue our discussion next Saturday. Hare Krishna.
Hare
ग्रंथराज
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्री प्रभुपाद की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव भक्त वृंद की जय.
Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
हाँ हरे कृष्ण
Hare
माता जी,
Krishna.
थैंक
Thank
यू.
you, Prabhuji.
हाँ हरे कृष्ण, थैंक यू वेरी मच.